For our project, we decided to do our CSR plan on Nike. Our group consisted of Austin, Corey, Kyle, Sean, and Kara. Nike is a multinational corporation engaged in the design, development, manufacturing, and worldwide marketing of sports innovations. The corporation has committed itself to providing groundbreaking modernizations in the world of sports and athletics. With the help of diverse global teams, Nike has continued to produce sustainable products while making a positive impact in the communities we live in. The main development from Nike is to bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. In today's day and age, when you think about sports apparel and you think about a brand, everyone probably thinks of Nike. But in the mid 80s, early 1990s, Nike was not even close to being the largest sport apparel brand in the world. It was actually Reebok and Adidas, and they were numbers 1 and 2. That all changed when Nike changed the way sports clothing companies market their companies using professional athletes. During the 1989 MLB All-Star Game, right after Bo Jackson hit a leadoff home run on the game opening pitch, Nike unveiled their Bo Knows campaign. That commercial rocked the sports apparel world. The focus of the Bo Knows commercial was on this new multi-sport cross trainer that an athlete could use in like all walks of life. In the commercial, there were all the greats of the time, Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky, John McEnroe, and then as the star of their campaign, Bo Jackson, who was at the time playing for both the Oakland Raiders and the Kansas City Royals. Nike launched themselves into a whole new category beyond Adidas and Reebok. Being put into the spotlight like that, Nike began its sustainability journey in a very public way in the early 1990s. Nike became one of the first companies to be campaigned against around the issue of supply chain and labor rights.
The business environment surrounding Nike consists of strong external and internal trends. External factors are things outside a business that will have an impact on its success. These impacts can be negative as well as positive. External factors are something that a business cannot control. These are things like political, economic, social, technological, environmental, and legal factors. As we take a closer look at the external factors, keep in mind that the businesses have no say in the outcomes that may result. Internal factors are the opposite of external factors. Internal factors can be influenced and affected by a business, so things like global production, rapid innovation, and having a strong brand image. While there are many more factors that impact both the internal and external side, the factors chosen above I felt represented Nike the strongest and their values. The first 3 external trends that we are going to take a look at are legal, technological, and political. For the legal factor, there are certain laws and regulations put into place to protect the workers and ensure their safety. OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Act, are the ones that set these regulations. For example, there is a minimum working age limit in the states. In New York, you must be at least 16 years of age to legally work. There is also a minimum wage set in place to make sure that employers are paying their employees a fair wage for the state they live in. Each state can set their own minimum wage accordingly. In terms of the technological factor, technology has come such a long way in recent years, which has improved the quality of many clothing brands. Counterfeit products have caused and still causes a lot of problems for companies. Chinatown is one of the more well-known areas to hold a high volume of counterfeit products. Counterfeit products hurt the brand and the company's reputation. If you buy a product and you do not realize that it is a counterfeit and you think the quality is terrible, that is going to cause you to never buy from that company again because you think it's one of their products. Technology has also decreased the production costs, which leads to more profits, especially when they sell the product at the same price. Technology has also given businesses the opportunity to create new product lines and divisions. You are giving so much more freedom to express your brand the way you want and bring your company to the next level. The third external factor is going to be political. Political factors talk about wanting to bring jobs back to the United States that have originally been outsourced. Currently in the world, Nike has factories in 41 different regions and countries. This is considered a lot for a company, and it shows just how far of a reach Nike has in the world. With the idea of bringing jobs back to the United States, it will cause an increase in the cost of production due to paying higher remunerations for their employees. This is because Nike was able to get away with paying their employees low wages in other countries due to their labor laws. When I was analyzing the political factor, I came across an aspect that I did not expect to see. Tensions between the United States and other countries caused by spying on each other affect the consumer's perspective of that company. This was shocking for me to discover because when I think about political factors, tensions did not come to mind. The last three external factors that we are going to talk about are economic, environmental, and social. The economic factor has significant impact on the way a company prices products because companies need to consider the changing market conditions. Inflation has increasing every year to make up for the fact that Americans are making more and more money each year. Since the 1990s, inflation has increased 2.46%, and the cumulative inflation has risen 102.46%. When inflation increases, so does goods and services to account for the price difference. Most of the time, the price of goods and services only increases by cents, but over time, it can add up to whole dollars. The United States holds the majority of Nike's revenues. For example, Europe, Middle East, and Africa are close behind the United States. Nike also needs to consider the foreign exchange rates from country to country. For example, for every $1 American, if we convert that to euros, it will only get 0.84 euro. When we talk about Canada, a lot of Canadians come to the US to do their holiday shopping because of the exchange rate. Nike accounts for a lot of the revenues through brand deals with famous sports athletes. Right now, Cristiano Ronaldo holds the largest brand deal, which he signed a lifetime deal that is worth about $1 billion. Professional athletes have a strong social media presence in which a lot of people look up to them. Around the world, there are those athletes who are considered to be sports legends in their eyes and will purchase anything with their name associated. Nike brands for ages 15 to 45 on average. That is where most of their revenue is coming from. From my own experiences, whenever I played sports during high school, all of our sports gear came from Nike. And when I needed to buy practice gear, Nike would always be my first choice. While I did not think that their quality of clothing was better than most of their competitors, it was due to their branding and sports sponsorship. 2020 has given rise to environmentalists and people who want to change and protect the environment and planet. Climate change has been a pressing issue, especially amongst Generation Z. Nowadays, people are looking for sustainable companies to buy clothing from, and Nike has been making the move towards sustainability. In the 2019 fiscal year, Nike's breakdown shows 99.1 gigawatt hours used of electricity. Out of all the manufacturing waste, 99.9% was recycled or converted into energy. With that recycled energy, Nike could bring that into different sections of the plant to be used in other areas. By having the shoes and apparel made from 76% recycled material, they are reducing the amount of waste being produced. Rapid innovation is a big internal factor for Nike. Before the Flyknit race was made available to consumers, it had to go through 195 trial runs to make sure it was perfect. In the past 5 years, Nike has spent over $2.5 billion on research and development in their Nike Sport Research Lab. They have a whole facility dedicated to sports innovation and sports design. Inside the Nike Sport Research Lab, they use the help of computer vision, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and algorithms to perfect their products and to design new product lines. Nike has a huge stake in the global production with having 518 factories. Finished goods come from 41 regions and countries, and altogether 1,156,712 workers across those plants. Most of the production has come from third parties that have been outsourced. Nike supply chain sources most of its raw materials in the manufacturing host country to save on material costs. By outsourcing most of the production process, Nike has been able to improve efficiency, optimize production, and lower the waste output altogether. Companies are all about trying to lower costs while producing the greatest amount of revenue possible. The Nike swoosh is an iconic brand logo that everyone would know just by looking at it. Through the marketing and branding, Nike has made themselves one of the most popular sports brands and apparel in the world. Nike's value is sitting around $34.8 billion US, making Nike the highest value in the world. Adidas follows second with having a value of 16.5 US billion, nowhere close to the value of Nike. Nike has an association with some of the biggest brand names in sports, all the way from baseball to football. Based on the internal and external factors that we have already identified, we can now describe the trends in corporate social responsibility, sustainability, and business ethics that will impact Nike. Corporate social responsibility refers to the belief that a business has a responsibility to society beyond their obligations to their stakeholders or investors. The following trends impact Nike, whether it is for good or bad: increased transparency, green technology, diversity and inclusion, carbon neutrality, standing with their employees, and putting purpose over passion. In recent years, Nike has been involved in a child labor scandal that has seriously tampered with their reputation. To take responsibility for their actions, Nike has since released a 108-page report revealing conditions and pay in its factories, as well as acknowledging widespread issues. To this day, Nike still issues reports on the conditions of its factories. Since trying to atone for their mistakes, Nike's reputation has since increased. While consumers are still weary of Nike and how they treat employees, they are starting to accept Nike's apology from the steps Nike has taken. Green technology is an application of one or more environmental sciences to curb the negative impacts of the human involvement. Color dye technology was introduced to Nike with the purpose of dyeing fabrics using zero water, and since implementing this technology, Nike has saved more than 20 million liters of water. Because of this one act, Nike was able to decrease their water consumption. For the source of 1 year, Nike can divert more than 95% of manufacturing waste from landfills. That is 51 million pounds a year. All aerosol innovations are composed of at least 50% recycled manufacturing waste. By using the manufacturing waste, Nike is continuing to divert and recycle material to other areas of the company. Diversity and inclusion are a big part of Nike's company environment. Nike has created Nike United, which is composed of 8 employee networks. Those networks consist of Ability Network, Ascend Network and Friends, Black Employee Network and Friends, Latino and Friends Network, Nike Military and Veterans and Friends, Native American Network and Friends, Pride Network, and Women of Nike and Friends. With these 8 networks, Nike's employees feel like a sense of belonging, and they are made to feel like they belong working for a company like Nike. Out of all the companies, Nike was able to rank in the top 20% for their diversity score, and that score is out of over 100 companies. As part of the move to zero, Nike has set a bold and ambitious target to reduce their carbon footprint by 2030 through science-based targets, with an absolute reduction of Scope 1 and 2 emissions by 65% and Scope 3 emissions by 30%. Scope 1 emissions are fuel combustion, company vehicles, and fugitive emissions. Scope 2 emissions are purchased electricity, heat, and steam. Scope 3 emissions are emissions that are purchased goods and services, business travel, employee commuting, waste disposal and use of sold products, transportation and distribution investment, and leased assets and franchises. In North America, all owned or operated facilities are now powering with 100% renewable energy. When you are putting purpose over passion, you are creating purpose as a way of inspiring employees and engaging customers in a recognition. Passions are sometimes referred to as fleeting, while purposes is referred to as enduring. Universal embracing of purpose is as a non-negotiable part of the company's public portfolio. Nike is standing with their employees by exercising their voices, demanding that their corporate leaders get involved with their communities. I have a quote taken right off of Nike's website that reads, "With our teams feel supported and inspired, they turn that creativity into innovation to serve our athletes globally and deliver against our gods."
Hello, I am Austin Elger and I will be discussing the ethics of Nike. In this section, we will discuss the issues, alignment, and sustainability of our multinational corporation. We will dive deeper into the business ethics and regulatory issues that could impact the business, things such as working conditions, human rights, the environment, preventing corruption, corporate governance, gender equality, and several others. We will discuss how we plan to resolve these issues by ethically realigning corporate values with strategies to prevent and resolve ethical issues while creating a successful, sustainable future. We will then move into how we plan on continuing our pursuit of sustainability and the responsibility we have for the impact our corporation has on its surroundings and business, environment, and social terms. First issue I would like to acknowledge is a common issue among multinational corporations. That is in regards to the relationship between home and host country regulations. Nike has been criticized for its violation of human rights and on numerous occasions. The first scenario being Olympic legend Alicia Montano, who was sponsored by Nike, spoke out about Nike would threaten to stop her contract if she had had a baby, a clear violation of human rights. The second scenario is directly related to working conditions. In February of 2020, the Washington Post reported a large Nike factory, Qingdao Taekwang Shoes, had been employing Uyghurs from Xinjiang, China, under conditions that strongly suggest forced labor. In 2019, Nike received its worst rating in the Tailored Waged UK report, published by the Clean Clothes Campaign, stating the brand can show no evidence of a living wage being paid to any workers. As I have already mentioned, gaps between ethical values of home and host countries may lead to unethical management. The next issue I would like to speak about is the environment. Unfortunately, our world is suffering from a dangerous global footprint. As a global sports apparel giant, Nike has been scrutinized for playing a role in the deterioration of the world we live. Cotton sourcing has proven to be an issue in the past, regardless of recent use of certified cotton. Nike's use of leather continues to be a topic of concern, considering the emission of harmful chemicals used to preserve the leather. Although this isn't a huge issue for Nike, animal-based products are still being produced, even though that is not a main product for Nike. It has become apparent with the rise of Generation Z that unethical management and the lack of sustainability leads to a decrease in desirability to customers. As we have moved forward, we have come to the realization that our corporation needs to be realigned, and that starts with ethical orientation. With the help of ethical leadership, core ethical values, and a formal ethics program, problems such as sweatshops, discrimination, and environmental issues would be prevented and resolved. Once we have committed ourselves to our own ethical standards, we can further strengthen our foundation by implementing global ethics codes. There are plenty of options, but I believe that Nike should incorporate global ethics codes developed by international organizations such as the UN Global Compact, Co-Roundtable Tables Principles, and Global Solvent Principles of Social Responsibility. These standards will help limit any gray areas of ethics and further strengthen the foundation of moral behaviors. To add on to the previously mentioned global ethics codes, I think it is important to implement a simpler form of codes. By implementing a set of rules to follow, corporations such as Nike can effectively hold themselves accountable to managerial policies and ethical behaviors. Rules can be as simple as obeying the law, taking care of customers and employees, respecting suppliers, and ultimately rewarding your shareholders. Hotlines and whistleblowing mechanisms will be a safety valve. If for some reason these codes of conduct are not sufficient, being able to report unethical behavior or violations is important. With whistleblowing mechanisms and hotlines, employees' voices and opinions can be heard and considered, minimizing wrong behavior and maximizing accountability. Next, I believe ethics audits will keep the corporation in line. Nike should carefully review ethics initiatives, including the codes of conduct, hotlines, and ethics training programs to evaluate effectiveness and results. When considering decision making, it is important to acknowledge the ethics of those decisions. Various approaches to making ethical decisions is to ask a series of simple questions in the form of an ethics check. Is it legal? Is there a violation of civil or corporate policy? Is it balanced? Is it fair to everyone in the short term and long term? Does it promote win-win relationships? How will you feel about this decision? How will I feel about myself? Would I feel good if my decision was published in a newspaper? A process such as ethics screening would be efficient in resolving the issues we have discussed. By implementing a strategy as such, Nike will be able to state the problem, identify possible resolutions, and implement the best course of action. Moving forward, we will realign our brand development. Vertical target areas include Gen Z, social media, and diversity and inclusion. The future of consumerism will be driven by Gen Z, making it vastly important Nike caters its desirability toward the up-and-coming consumers. Characteristics of Gen Z include demand of workplace equality, digitally inclined, entrepreneurial, risk-averse, and optimistic about the future. Second is social media. With good moral behavior in mind, Nike can adhere to Gen Z's digital inclination to reach them via social medias such as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, etc. It is important for Nike to avoid the many potential dangerous variables of social media such as biotechnology, invasion of privacy, depletion of human jobs, and more. Third is diversity and inclusion. Nike should continue to develop strategies for diversity and inclusion, although they have already created Nike United. Nike can continue to create online forums via social medias to promote a sense of community and belonging for its customers, employees, stakeholders, etc. Nike created jerseys for the entire China Football Super League, featuring designs that incorporated each club's heritage and traditions, all while using Nike's latest apparel innovations of reusing polyester spun from recycled plastic bottles. One of Nike's key slogans is "If you have a body, you are an athlete." Nike already has a great CSR plan in terms of sustainability. Principles include material choices, cyclability, waste avoidance, disassembly, green chemistry, refurbishment, durability, circular packaging, and new models. These principles are incredibly important when considering the increasing desirability of sustainable goods. Move to Zero is Nike's journey towards zero carbon and zero waste. This initiative was made to help protect the future of sport by protecting the future of the planet. As climate change has become more prevalent, Nike and its community has committed to keeping athletes and the environment safe. Some of Nike's Move to Zero initiatives are owned and operated facilities with 100% renewable energy by 2025, reduce carbon emission throughout its supply chain by 30% by 2030. This is in line with the Paris Agreement of 2015. To divert 99% of all footwear manufacturing waste from landfills. Divert 1 billion plastic water bottles per year from landfills to create yarns for jerseys and shoes. Nike also integrated Reuse a Shoe and Nike Grind programs, which convert waste into new products, playgrounds, running tracks, and courts. Nike has also created a line of sustainable shoes that continues to recruit consumerism to its Move to Zero journey and make a positive impact on the global environment. The Nike Flyknit was engineered with an average of 60% less waste than traditional footwear. 31 million water bottles were diverted from landfills. The Nike Fly Leather was made with at least 50% recycled leather fiber and a smaller carbon footprint than traditional leather manufacturing. It improves cutting efficiency, creating less waste than traditional cut and sew methods. Nike Air soles designed since 1994 contain at least 50% recycled manufacturing waste. Since 2008, it has been made with 100% renewable energy. The Nike Air reuses more than 90% of the waste from materials used for air soles to make new cushioning systems.
Decision making. Nike has the opportunity to make some impactful decisions. Nike can step up and decide to stop the use of forced labor manufacturing and pay workers in other countries livable wages. They can also change how they treat the athletes they sponsor through gender equality. Nike is making the right decisions when it comes to the environment. They have implemented great strategies that reduce waste and improve environmental conditions. Decisions. Human rights. Consider equal rights for all athletes regardless of gender. Support better living and working conditions for workers in other countries. Environment. The decisions made on the environment are extremely helpful. Nike has cut down waste by reusing the waste in some products. Nike's decision to operate on 100% renewable energy will have great impacts. This will impact the environment in a good way, and other companies may follow in their footsteps. Processes. As we said above, implementing a global ethics code and standards will greatly benefit the company. This will help Nike with the bad publicity. Implement an employees over profit strategy. Also, support the athletes you sponsor instead of threatening them. Culture. The decisions and processes made will help Nike stay on the good side of the public. Customers do not like to hear that a company they love has forced laborers making their products, or they try to strong arm a female athlete for trying to grow her family. Corporate citizenship. These processes will help them be viewed by society in a positive light. Culture continued. Community involvement. The global ethics codes and standards will help stop the use of forced labor and will pay workers a livable wage. This process that Nike will put in place will have a positive effect on the community by paying a livable wage. Families will no longer live in poverty, they won't go hungry, and they will also have more money to spend in the economy. Environment. Nike's plan for the environment will have great impacts in the future by cutting waste and even reusing it. Running on 100% renewable energy will help slow pollution and benefit the community. The people who live in that area will no longer be breathing in toxic fumes. Philanthropy. With Nike implementing a global ethics policy and the environmental policy, they will show their desire to help people. Consumers like buying from companies that help the community. Stakeholders. Stakeholders will benefit from the decisions made and the processes put in place. For example, employees will be working for a company that is working to improve the world. Customers are buying products from a company that supports workers in other countries and a company that cares for the environment.
So my question was on the impact, and it was more focused on the community and global environmental impacts that Nike has. So Nike's mission as a brand is to bring inspiration to every athlete in the world. We touched upon this in earlier slides as well. Their purpose is to unite the world through sport, to create a healthy planet, active communities, and an equal playing field for all. These are priorities that shape the decision-making for the future of Nike through all walks of life in the company. So one of the most important things about Nike and this CSR plan is their impact and their impact on community. In recent years, Nike has invested a lot in CSR and sustainability initiatives. Austin did a great job diving deeper into those certain company-wide actions in earlier slides. So this is more of just a broader breakdown and of the impact and community. Nike has many initiatives in place right here in the US and worldwide to help local communities. Some examples of what Nike has done to give back to their local communities in the US are the Nike School Innovation Fund, the Nike Community Impact Fund, also known as the NCIF. The NCIF supports organizations like nonprofits, community centers, and local schools to get kids moving, bringing their benefits of the sport to their communities, and giving kids an opportunity to fall in love with sport and physical activity. Nike has also given over $40 million to the BLM movement and Black communities around the country. The second factor that I had to focus on was Nike's impact on the global environment. And one of the most important things that needs to be recognized is globalization. Globalization is the system of interaction and integration among the people, companies, governments, and countries of the world in order to develop the global economy. This process has effects on human well-being, on the environment, on culture, on economic development and prosperity of societies across the world. Nike is a company that designs, develops, and markets worldwide athletic footwear, apparel, equipment, and accessories. Nike has a deep-rooted legacy as committed partners in the communities where employees live and work. The corporation plays to its strengths and prioritizes bringing play and sport communities around the world. From 2015 to 2019, Nike invested over $417 million in communities worldwide, and $130 million helped promote equality and level playing fields for all. Just some closing points for my question, the impact of the Nike Corporation. And here are some examples of global environment initiatives set in motion by Nike around the world. In China, Nike launched Boundless Girls, which is a program dedicated to unlocking barriers to sport participation for girls in China. The program covers 10 schools in Beijing and Shanghai, where specially designed programs are put in place to educate and empower girls. In Europe, Africa, and the Middle East, Nike launched the Made to Play Fund, which is the fund supports women changing the lives of girls in their local communities. And Nike Grind. The Nike Grind program collects excess materials with value from the product supply chain. The program recycles and repurposes these materials into innovative products designed with athletes in mind.
So as far as Nike's concerned for outcomes, there's a few main efforts that they're making. Two of the main fields that they focus on are equality and sustainability. For equality, Nike focuses on creating an inclusive culture as well as a diverse workforce. And for sustainability, they focus on investing in their community, sourcing from sustainable sources, and delivering sustainable products. As I had just mentioned, one of the fields that Nike focuses on is equality. And there's a quote on their webpage that says that they are committed to fostering an inclusive culture at Nike and to breaking down barriers for all athletes. What I took out of this is that Nike strives to attract and develop a workforce that is increasingly diverse, engaged, and healthy. By doing this, they'll show that everybody is capable of success, no matter their background or upbringing, and it'll provide visibility to their diversity and inclusion progress. Another thing that this does is allows Nike to lead by example, showing other companies the way that it should be run and that everybody has an equal playing field and can achieve the same success given the right opportunities. Nike also believes that this has to start with their employees in-house. It has to be the creation of an everyday environment that promotes the inclusion, empowerment, and respect to allow their own employees to succeed on a daily basis. Aside from Nike's equality efforts, they've also set some goals that will show the world their efforts in the direction of cultural awareness and the need to do their part in impacting the future of this planet positively from both an environmental as well as a human perspective. Nike currently has a website listing off many of their target goals, but here are some of the examples. One of their goals is to invest a minimum of 1.5% of their pre-tax income to drive positive impact in communities. This income can go towards getting kids aged 7 to 12 moving through play and sport, as well as inspiring their employees to engage with the communities and allowing Nike to support their giving of time, money, and expertise. Another goal that Nike has is to source 100% of their goods from factories that meet their definition of sustainable. By focusing on this as a goal, Nike will be able to reduce their environmental footprint and also drive positive change in the way that they will show other companies that this is an attainable goal to reach and that it can be done by anybody. The third goal that I wrote down by Nike is to deliver products with maximum performance as well as minimum impact so that Nike has a 10% reduction in the average environmental footprint that they produce. The way that they'll attain this is by grading 80% of Nike products on a sustainability performance and having them scored to ensure that they are environmentally sustainable before they will be produced full-time by Nike. As far as alignment is concerned, Nike's purpose is to unite the world through sport to create a healthy planet, active communities, and an equal playing field for all. As we can see, the purpose of Nike as well as their efforts that they're making on a daily basis go hand in hand with each other, and they both strive to attain the same goals. The equality efforts that Nike makes promote the idea of creating an equal playing field for all, while the first sustainability effort focuses on Nike's vision of creating active communities, and the second and third sustainability efforts both focus on Nike's goal of creating a healthier planet overall. By making these efforts, Nike will be able to align themselves with many popular views in the world today, from both an equality perspective as well as a sustainability perspective. By doing this, Nike creates an image for their brand that they would like to see the world get better. By promoting these views, they are showing consumers and investors that as a company, they don't just care about the money, but care also about the growth and future of our planet as a whole. By aligning themselves with ideals and views shared across the globe, the average consumer will feel as though they are part of the company and will be drawn into buying product based on the similarities in their visions and the want to see a better planet.
Through the implementation of our CSR, there are going to be intrinsic and extrinsic rewards that are going to take place as a result. Intrinsic rewards are psychological rewards that employees get from doing meaningful work and performing well. They are considered to be intrinsic because they are internal to the work being done, and achieving them largely depends on one's own effect. There are things like freedom, self-expression, passion, growth, learning, and moral conscience. At Nike, Nike has created a group called Nike United, which focuses on intrinsic rewards. There are 8 groups that specialize in different types of settings. You are able to express yourself the way you want people to notice and see you. You are given the opportunity to grow yourself as a person, not only mentally, but also physically as well. It is about improving yourself and trying to be the best that you can be. Extrinsic rewards are the opposite of intrinsic rewards. Extrinsic rewards are given to you by your employer for achieving something. They are not controlled by the employee like intrinsic rewards are. Instead, they are based off of the work you do. The main goal in getting the employees to strive to do better and make the company look good from the outside. Most of the time, extrinsic rewards consist of things like promotions, pay raises, benefits, perks, winning, and profit. When you are given a promotion or a pay raise, you feel a sense of accomplishment. That feeling is going to want you to push you to do more so you can feel that sense again.